Well, since I was relieved, I'm feeling extremely comfortable, and that the burden of taking a heavy lift, a heavy weight on all aspects of South Sudan political spectrum has been lifted off from me. It is now a turn for my sister, Lily Adyen Manyelamian, to take from where actually I stopped.
Wek Ateny, former press secretary for the president of South Sudan, Salva Kiir Mayardit. You are welcome to RBC for the second time.
Thank you so much. And this for the first time since leaving office.
Yeah. How do you feel? Is leaving the office, is it liberating? Do you feel like a weight has been lifted from your shoulders?
Well, since I was relieved, I'm feeling extremely comfortable, and that the burden of taking a heavy lift, a heavy weight on all aspects of South Sudan political spectrum has been lifted off from me. It is now a turn for my sister, Lily Adyen Manyelamian, to take from where actually I stopped.
Brilliant. We'll talk about your future plans in a minute. But what I wanted to mention is you acted very honorably when you were laid off, and Lily Adyen Martin Manyel was appointed. You quickly rushed into making a statement to congratulate her and to wish her good luck for her job. This is not a common behavior in South Sudan. Some people do it, but there are the few. Often in South Sudan, people take a relief from their jobs personally, and they take it negatively. The public were very pleased, at least those who have contacted us were very pleased by the act that you've taken. You should be proud of that.
Yes, this comes from the understanding I have about having a government position. You know, those who seek government position are seeking assignment, not a job. Because the difference between assignment and a job are all clear. To look for a job, you must have read the advertisement elsewhere, and you see the conditions. Then you respond to the conditions. You go and present your documentation. And if the documentation you have with the type of person that is wanted in a job met the criteria, you will be shortlisted. On appointment, if you are appointed after applying for a job, you will receive a contract, and the contract will highlight how long you should be in one given job. If it is for 5 years, then by the time you are 4 years and a half, the other half, you will spend the other half looking for another job. So when 5 years elapse, you risk going out as a jobless until you get another job. In government situation, particularly the government of revolutionary struggles like ours, which came all the way from liberation struggle until the attainment of the independence of the Republic of South Sudan, what we get is an assignment. You get an assignment based on what the appointing authority sees fit in you. If the appointing authority, appoint you and given you that assignment, you will have that assignment as if you will not go out of it. But it is a discretion of the appointing authority to say at any time that you are now into this job for how many years, and it is time for a new blood to come in. That thing is a discretion of the president, and that is why I accepted it, because I do understand how this job actually operates. So my relief, I took it positively because it is a relief from assignment. It's not a relief from a job. So I will wait until I get another assignment, as also a discretion of the president. If I don't get another assignment, I will also move on, okay, with my life. But one thing is very important. I will still be SPLM member, a loyal SPLM member. I will be a loyal government official, that former government official that is still loyal to President Salva Kiir leadership. That thing cannot be taken away from me by anyone. But an assignment has gone to my sister, and I will wait until I get another assignment. If I don't get it, I will continue to be an SPLM and also a supporter of President Salva Kiir. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, brilliant. Your job must have been very challenging. Your assignment, as you put it, must have been very challenging, particularly that you came in at a very difficult time, at the time when South Sudan went to war with itself. And you've gone through all that period. And actually, looking back, people will remember your term of service. People will forever associate your term of service with that difficult period. And the role you played, positive or negative, depending on their view, during that time. Luckily, our country has persevered, and we hope and we believe that we have weathered those storms. And now South Sudan is on its way to stability after all the different sides have been reconciled. Yes, we know that there are a few holdout groups, but on the main, we are in a much better place than we used to be. Yeah. Yes, it must have been a very difficult period and challenging period for you. Could you share with us some of the challenges of that period, specifically how personally it affected you during that time at Wek?
Thank you so much. You know, the 2013 political crisis that erupted exactly on the 15th of December. 2013 political crisis that erupted 10 days before Christmas of 2013 did not give anybody warning that something of that magnitude would befall South Sudan. I was appointed on the 27th of November 2013. So by the time the war erupted, I was 18 days into the job. And it became so challenging simply because the community of South Sudanese that we were all proud of, that we were all yearning to see continue together, was seriously divided. You will not know who is pro and who is against government. And this is the first time that I engaged the media with that magnitude, because all the media houses would want me to confirm certain things because I speak for the head of the state and for the state house. By the way, I'm quite happy about even our divisions because we don't go for cold blood killing. Otherwise, I would have not survived, because when I am asked to come to interview, which is transmitted live on Jazeera English or Jazeera Arabic or on CNN or on all the other media that mostly do the news at night, I will come and stand on the street of Juba, a street that is quite obvious to anyone. And you know, the lighting, the way that the media wants you to to be in the light makes a sniper, likely to shoot a person that is standing on the street talking against them. But luckily, South Sudanese don't have this attitude of killing their own brothers by cold blood. So I survived that. Nobody has attempted one time, or even I have never felt threatened. My life has never been threatened. But when I look and reflect on how difficult it is to stand on the TV that is transmitted live, and everybody can simply recognize the street in which you are actually standing, sometimes it made me to fear that, I was really in a danger, though no danger has crossed. Also, we have challenges, and these challenges are almost the same in many countries. The army that was fighting all over places in South Sudan may commit a mistake in one place or the other, and the media will have access to that mistake, and they want somebody who is speaking for the army or is speaking for the State House to comment on any news so that they balance their stories. And this is very difficult. By the time you make contact between the different divisions, between the different units of the army, when you get the story, what should have been the real side of the story that the government should put to balance the story, it is already too late. The media will not wait for you for more than 3 hours. So you will find them putting news on the media and saying, we have contacted the State House spokesperson. However, he did not respond to us. And they are justified. When a journalist say, I have contacted this official, I have contacted that official, in order to balance the story or to provide the other side's story, and that person is not available, whether the phone is closed, they are justified, the media is justified to run the story one-sided. And then, when it is seen later on, the information went to the international media without us saying anything about it, people see us as a failure, simply because we didn't provide an answer.
The public
that would have protected the government to the public. And the difficulty of how it is not known to ordinary citizens. Because in order for somebody speaking for the State House is the highest office in the land, and somebody is speaking for must be a very honest person. You cannot just create things in your mind unless you got the story, the real story. But if it takes long, because we don't command the army directly, the army is commanded by the commander-in-chief, who is the president. So whenever we want the information about the army, it is through a spokesperson of the army or contacting a general in the certain place in order to tell us the information. Sometimes people think I was crossing the line because it should have been the spokesperson of the army doing it. But they are forgetting that the same president, who is the commander-in-chief of the army, is the same president that is the head of the state in which I was speaking for. The problem is when you don't have the information, you don't have anything to do. But if you have information, you can tell the public. And so, as somebody who actually follow media very keenly, somebody who is aware that if the government doesn't respond to a certain information that the media wants, I always volunteer to make sure that I provide the other side of the story on behalf of the government of South Sudan. Because within the government department, there are government linkage, something that will make the departments of government, Department of Government activities to overlap. There's no an absolute independence of any institution of the government. So those things are actually a difficult part of the job that I actually had in 2013. Now, my sister Radia will be having a different situation. She would be only speaking for the president when the president is traveling. I am not wishing her to be a press secretary in another war. I wish that there is no any another war in South Sudan. If you look at also how the media has been grilling me, if it is somebody who have not developed thick skin, you will be found dead in your room. Because if the whole world is actually insulting you.
Did you used to feel very stressed? Was it a stressful position? Did you find yourself in a stressful position? Did it disturb you? Did it disturb you?
But because I've taken the job seriously, and I think that this government is mine. I cannot run away from it. I did it with diligence and absolute resilience. And that's why even the English inside the story has cost me more than any African spokesperson, Africa combined, because I was hosted for 37 times. Even my picture was running there for some time. Because I have never declined when I am called for Jazeera English inside the story. I always accept and go because I knew everything will be set. It is the president, it is the office of the president, and I have to be there. If I don't go there in order to tell people exactly what is the truth of the matter, then I will be doing I will not be doing my job correctly.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, Ateny. Government communication with the people involves more than just dealing with these questions of crises or war or frontline challenges that were happening at the time. From then until today, government communication also should involve the president himself, not just the press secretary. You and I lived a long time ago. We know the old Sudan, and you remember very well, President Numeri used to have what he called Liqa al-Sha'ab, which was a monthly program when he spoke to the people to say, these are the promises of the government, these are the challenges of the government. And then next month, he will review those and update people accordingly to the changes that have happened, the achievements and the failures. It has another role apart from informing the public. It also plays a very important role in making every citizen connected to their government. South Sudanese complain that our president does not communicate with us, that he's isolated in J1. First of all, personally, I'm going to ask you, first of all, to assess the president on this particular charge. From 0 to 10, what score would you give the president in terms of communication with his people?
I will give president 9 out of 10. Yeah, I was a communication officer for the president, and I have actually told Jack Denchoko on this that the president always loved to talk to public, and whenever there is an issue, the president himself talks directly, and the media takes it. Why I actually took him a bit far away from the media was the fact that all the media that comes to South Sudan, they come to South Sudan in order to look for controversy. If they are not looking for controversy, they are looking for small mistakes, slight mistakes that you make in your communication skills. When I look at how President has been understood several times, I thought by increasing more media, okay, then I will be actually exposing him to more misunderstanding. Okay, so I thought, as his communication officer, I will be doing it on his behalf in the most cases. If I cause controversy, then it is me who can be grilled, and not grilling the president. So it was me who reduced the number of the media that should talk to the president. And I did that with a good strategy, because the president is dealing with a number of things. By the way, our president is the only president that works longer than any other president in the world. Simply because, first of all, the man is very active. He wants to work as long as his ability takes him. So sometimes some things are brought to him which are not necessarily, addressed by the president. It is like majority of government officials. It is either they don't want to work alone. Okay, they wanted the president they wanted to ask the president to tell them what they should be doing. So majority of things that even the ministers could do are brought to the president. So the president is quite exhausted. He's exhausted by those who bring things to him, including things that they can even manage by themselves. Considering this, because I am with the president in the morning until the evening, I judge it from my own self. If I go home and find people waiting for me to talk to them, and I talk to them, okay, and then I am in the morning, they bring a media for me to talk to media, I will not like it. That's why I thought, instead of just exhausting the president with a number of media houses, which some of them are not genuine in any way, some of them wanted only to cover the news about the bad news about South Sudan. I thought I should be doing it myself, because the president mandated me to do it on his behalf. To make the matter also, well, we have a minister of the presidential affairs, is the top minister in the country. So if anything bypass me, it should go to the minister of presidential affairs. It shouldn't go to the president directly. So maybe now things have even come down a bit. My sister Lily will not be having the same problem, because by then there was a lot of news about war. There was not news about some soldiers taking law into their own hands, and then they wanted to talk to the president, so that they grilled the president on who has done what and who has not done what. That's why I was thinking I should deal with them. But now Sister Abiel can bring the media to the president, because the pressure that was on the president has subsided. Simply because we are now living an era of peace. The parties that signed peace agreement are very well going on with implementation, and the president now is okay, because he's not dealing with war again, with the media of war, and so the situation will not be the same. 2013 is not 2016, and 2016 is not 2017, and 2017 is not 2019, and 2019 is not 2022. Everything always goes for improvement. So I believe the office of the president will continue to connect with the media, and my sister Adia will do that. I am quite sure.
Brilliant. So you do acknowledge that on the personal ground, people do want to connect to their president, and this is very important for the stability and for the trust that is needed in our country. So you will hope and you will advise that they will fulfill this. Another element as well, a thing that we wanted to bring with this, is maybe if you had differentiated between national media run by South Sudanese, and foreign media that perhaps have different agendas. Maybe you could have directed or leaned the president slightly towards national media that would be really interested in bringing things out that are good for our country.
No, president is always on private, or is always on national media. He is always on national media.
No, I'm talking about non-state. I'm not talking only about the state-controlled media, but I'm also talking about other media, just like the humble stuff that we run ourselves. We would really like to be able to be involved, and also other colleagues like ours who have the interests of the nation in our heart. But often opportunities are allowed for foreign media that necessarily don't have the interest of South Sudan at heart.
Well, even when you look at local media, you will find that even some local media are speaking the voice of the international media. One time, a local media, journalist who was freelancing, calls me and was telling me, you people from Tier 1, okay? Don't you know that government collapsed and government can be toppled by people? I said, what question are you asking me? This is not a journalistic question. A journalistic question would have centered on an issue that has taken place already. The media don't talk about what is to happen. Now you want my comment. And I said, who are you representing? And he hung up. Reflecting on his questions, gave me a glimpse that he was for the foreigner interest. He was not for South Sudanese interest. A South Sudanese cannot call for the collapse of government because we are still very fragile, and we need to have this government until when people are able to express their opinion through a ballot box comes 2025 or whatever time that the election should take place. This is where the citizen can exercise his or her right, and not to talk about the topple of the government or collapsing of the government. So the private owned media, most of them speak the voice of a foreigner, and that's where when I actually bring someone hoping this person is a South Sudanese to interview the president, and then he record the president even on the thing that the president will be saying as a joke, because President Salva Kiir likes jokes, and sometimes people don't like jokes. There are people who can misinterpret the jokes, and then we find ourselves putting the president in disrepute. That the blame will come to me. That's why I thought the president should only talk to government-owned media until when things improve. The face of South Sudan internationally has improved now. Okay? And whoever that is managing media of the government can succeed to bring any media house to interview the president or interview the minister. Because the questions would be centering around the roadmap, that the tenure of the government would run out on February, and the extension of 20 months, what is anticipated, and all the other questions. It will not be like, okay, if the IO has actually fought here and there, what are you going to do about that? And this is a fight that was happening in the same country. The same brothers and sisters were the ones killing themselves. So the media, at my time, when the country was still fighting, is more difficult than this time. Anybody who is managing the media now can invite the whole media to talk to the president. And that should not be taken to be my weakness. I did it for a purpose, and that is the purpose now I said today. For people who have been asking why I am not putting the president, this is it now. I actually explain to you.
I tell you what, I'm very glad that you mentioned the matter of the elections. Really, one of the main reasons that the South Sudanese fought is that they would live in a free country, a free democratic country, where they will be able to express their wishes and who rules them and make sure that there's a rule of law and equality for all. This is what we were promised. And when the CPA was signed, when John Garang declared everything, one of the first things he talked about is the promise of freedom and democracy for South Sudanese. Now, this seemed to have been lost because of the war. And I'm personally one of the people who understand that the war is one of the causes. But my question is, how quickly and how honest are and how serious and honest are our politicians to return our democracy back to us?
No, I will not talk about whether the politicians are honest or they are dishonest. The truth of the matter is that our freedom, which we fought for during the liberation struggle, has not been taken away. People of South Sudan themselves have abused it a great deal, particularly those who just manufactured, fake news on the social media. They have defeated everybody because, first of all, the people are unable to distinguish between which one is a lie and which one is the truth. The line between the truth and the lie has become so blurry, the way South Sudanese use the social media. I cannot say all the politicians are honest or all the politicians are dishonest. That would be generalizing, and it's still tight. The truth of the matter is that our people abuse the social media and made some government officials to react badly against them.
Oh, okay. Can I come in? Can I come in because our time is limited? My point is this: every government in the world, this social media is new and it has taken over the world. Even in this country, there's fake news about everybody, about the prime minister, about every single minister, every single day. The duty of a responsible government is not to react to fake news in the social media, but is to ignore them and continue. Another thing is this cannot be used. It cannot be used as a reason to take away legitimate democratic needs of the people. So I want you to address this.
There's no way legitimate
clearly to say that. Let me finish the question. Let me finish this question. I'm just saying, you are not saying that because South Sudanese are abusing the truth, that democracy will be taken away from them. That's not what we are saying, is it?
Say this. The democracy is not taken away from the citizens of South Sudan. The citizens of South Sudan are among the best that are exercising their democracy. And even they went far to the point of even insulting people personally, and they think they are exercising freedom of expression. As somebody who managed the for 9 years, I've seen president being insulted in the newspaper inside the country. And one time, a journalist whose name I can withhold referred to the president as Shaitan. And this was published by Juba Monitor back to 2014. We did not take case against that person, but we should have taken case against that person because he insulted the personality of the president in his state, of dealing with the president as the head of his state. And if there is anything he has done wrong, there is a way people criticize leaders, but you cannot go to the personality. Absolutely. You know why the media Do you know why the media actually came to love me? It's simply because I ignored anything that they tell me, even at personal level. And one time, an editor-in-chief, who I understand is a guy from Quebec, referred to me as a press secretary who came from London as a beach watcher and became the press secretary of the country. I did not respond to him. I did not take him to court. I was criticized by an ignorant editor-in-chief who did not know how life in London is, and he was trying to know it. So, democracy in South Sudan, although it is abused, okay, is intact because there's no government official that goes after somebody for criticizing him or her in the social media. I've never seen that.
Absolutely.
No case came across me.
Absolutely, I think. But also,
this tell us that the South Sudanese are democratic in their nature. They are democratic in their nature. What we need only is strengthening institutions to safeguard that democracy which existed in South Sudan.
And a liar and a person who fabricates lies against someone could be taken to court for libel. So we need to develop, and these things will be developed, I think. I'm absolutely with you. These things take time. But the point I'm trying to say, in addition to this, and I want you to respond to it, is that democracy is more than just what people consider to be freedom of expression or talking on the radio or writing newspapers or making allegations on social media. It's more important, it's much bigger than that. And one aspect is this promise of elections. Many years, 5 elections, 3 terms now, 2 terms coming to 4 terms have been lost because of the war. And South Sudanese have the right to go back to the electoral box, to the ballot box, to choose their leaders. Whether they choose Salva Kiir or whether they choose Riek Machar or whether they choose a new person is absolutely their right, democratic right. And that's what we are saying. Is this promise of democracy still there? And when we say, are politicians serious? We are talking about President Salva Kiir, we are talking about Vice President Riek Machar, we're talking about all the people who are holding power in South Sudan, including the parliament. Are we serious to give democracy and the right of vote back to their people as soon as possible, as our constitution and the roadmap of the peace agreement allows? Is this right, this fundamental right, is it going to be honored by our leaders? That's my second question to you.
By the way, the person that I can tell you about is the President Salva Kiir. President Salva Kiir is even fed up of this kind of arrangement. He doesn't want this arrangement to continue beyond 2025. He won the election. Look, the peace agreement which has been negotiated in Khartoum on September 12, 2018, has taken away powers of the president. You know, when you look at the vice president, the 5 vice presidents who are now heading the cluster, these are the powers of the president taken away from the president. Although president has still, you know, a prerogative to overturn certain chair of cluster decisions, the president needs another arrangement next time. If the 24-month elapsed, President Salva Kiir won the election. Yeah, President Salva Kiir won election more than any person in the government. You know, he is the president, the incumbent president for that matter. And even if the arrangement continue like that, he will still be the president. Okay, but he is fed up of this arrangement because there's no country with 5 vice presidents. And by the way, most of these 5 vice presidents would want to continue making arrangement. Even if the 24-month elapsed, they would want another arrangement that will not entertain elections. But for the president, because I know, this is something that I know less than 2 months ago, okay, I knew the position of the president to be that of someone who won the election. Because he won the election so that the country becomes fully peaceful. Because if the people are elected and the people of South Sudan are able to elect their leaders, even if President Salva Kiir is not elected, it will be fine with him. But he won the election. If there is anybody who doesn't want the election, that is not President Salva Kiir. Let's make sure that the same, members of the presidency have the same view of the president to go for election comes 2025. Around January, February 2025, there should be elections in the country, and that would mark, the beginning of the first ever election to be conducted in the independent South Sudan. The election we had in 2010 was for the government of Southern Sudan, which majority of those who are in the parliament now are still claiming to be their right because they were elected in 2010. But in 2025, if there is no election, I don't think what would people be hanging on, because the mandate will completely run out, and that kind of arrangement of pushing it again up to 2027 or 2028 will continue to keep the country hostage. Now, there's no, President Salva Kiir cannot just take a decision and say we can go to election tomorrow. The parties in the peace agreement will refuse this, and if he goes it alone, he will be blamed. So he wanted the election comes 2025. The earlier you go for election, the better, because people of South Sudan wanted even to exercise for the first time. 2005, Brother Mawan, when comprehensive peace agreement was signed, is a long time ago. The children who were born in 2005, okay, if you do the election next year, 2023, they will be voters. They don't know the SPLM, they don't know the SPLM, they don't know whoever. Okay, this kind of people, there will be more than 30, 40 or 40% of our population. So we need to have elections so that we can go and show for these people to vote for us. If we leave them like that, they will be fed up because they are multiplying in numbers. And they don't understand. They don't understand why the SPLM government divided itself to IO, to DC, to former detainees, FDs, and even SAWA. SAWA is an SPLM. And even the other political parties are all SPLM. Okay? A child that was born in 2005 will not understand this. They have only seen the government of Southern Sudan for 6 years, which provided a way that South Sudan was in a self-governance. And the 11 years that has elapsed since the independence, it's a long time ago. We have to move.
We are waiting for service delivery. We are waiting for roads to be built. We are waiting for schools to be funded. We're waiting for hospitals to be done. We cannot delay because of the war. And these kids want results, as you say. So they do need to have the right to vote, as you are saying.
We can't have a self-delivery in a government that has 650 MPs in a population less than 15 million. We have the same members of parliament as Great Britain in House of Commons.
But I'm saying it's more than that, because this is what came out of this peace agreement, and none of us likes it. And I'm glad to hear that the president himself doesn't like it. No, South Sudanese don't like this. But we've been struggling for a long time. We've been struggling.
President,
2 years. We only had 2
President,
years.
President is determined to let peace go on. In spite of what happened, he wanted peace. That is why he allowed 5 vice presidents to hold office in South Sudan, because the crisis in 2013 and 2016 turned out to be a crisis for position. And the president said, if it is the position, you take position, provided we go for election. And by the time we go for election, please concede defeat if you are defeated. We don't want a war to erupt, because certain people will try to say they did not fail in the election. They will go to the election with a mark to win. Anybody who is going to election with a mark to win, yeah, you better step aside and do something else.
Okay, thank you, Ateny, for that. We must move for election.
Yeah, and we must accept. We must
move on for other questions. And I'm happy that you said this. And what I like about what you are saying is that at least the president himself is very keen that democracy returns.
Yes, he's very keen. He's very keen.
Sudan. And this
that
is
democracy
not only a promise, is not only a promise that our revolutionaries promised us, but it's also a
connect
natural
that,
right
please.
of the South Sudanese. And as you have admitted, that all the communities of South Sudan are democratic by nature.
Connect
It's
the
very, very difficult. It will be very difficult for anybody in the world to suppress the South Sudanese forever. So I'm absolutely pleased that this promise of elections is coming. But in relation to this, in relation to the elections that are in relation to the elections that are coming, there's a big question here, Ateny, is which parties are going to fight? When are these fight the elections? When are these parties is there a roadmap? Is there a plan? Is there a timetable for these parties to be registered so they become legitimate parties? How about the SPLM itself? The SPLM, some people say the SPLM has been hijacked by outsiders. The original SPLA that believed in equality for all is no longer there. The SPLM that we have now is SPLM of personalities, whether it is SPLM-IO or SPLM-IG, or as you said, it's all these factions. What is the future of this party? Because this party has served this country, has served this nation for a long time. But is it really acceptable that elections will come and we don't have a legitimate SPLM where the members, where the party itself will organize itself in terms of ideas, in terms of electing its all, and the Secretary General is chairman before they go to elections? When is this time going to come? When is it between now and 2005? Is the party going to have the right to organize itself to face the elections?
Brother Mawan, since 2015, the National Parliament at the time enacted a law that is to be known as Political Parties Act 2015, which the president has attempted into law. And the political party leadership was appointed by the president. And all the parties that are yearning to become political parties, national political parties for that matter, were all directed to register themselves. They didn't do it. None of them did it, with the exception of SPLM. The conditions under Political Parties Act 2015 is that in order for you to have a convention that of a party that is considered to be national, you must have 500 members, at least within 80 states. Bring them to Juba, do your convention, and from there, let them have a signature of about 500. And these are real people, the real people that will walk with their feet to go to political councils in order to political parties councils in order for them to register themselves as a political party. When the peace agreement was signed, the peace agreement in 2018 revisited all this, including the political party council has to be reconstituted in order to bring into it members of the SPLM, SPLM-IO, members of the FDs, members of SAWA, members of other political parties, and you name them. Now is a matter of time after graduating the force of the National Army. They are now moving to the second level now by reconstituting Constitutional Review Commission and reconstitute also the Political Parties Act, Political Parties Commission, and the Election Commission. All of them are to be reconstituted, taking the ratios that were given by the agreement. They have to be sharing those powers in those commissions. From there, the SPLM-IO and other political parties should now go to register. Even the SPLM should have to renew its registration because this is now a new era, the era of peace agreement, revitalized peace agreement, and everything is revitalized. From there, any political party is allowed to register itself. So I have no doubt, and I know this, President Salva Kiir would want all these pockets and briefcase political parties registered. But if they fail to register themselves by not meeting the criteria, that should not be blamed on President Salva Kiir. That's one. The second part is whether the SPLM was hijacked or not. By the way, those who talk about SPLM being hijacked, okay, are those who are not aware of the SPLM itself. They think SPLM is a static thing, something that stand like a building until it is, demolished and a new building is built on it. They don't know that the SPLM is dynamic and it can continue to receive new members from now on. In order for SPLM to be a party capable of governing the country, particularly in the 21st century, SPLM needs to open itself to even discover other leaders who are not having the opportunity to have taken the gun to go to Bilfam or to Bongo or to Dima in order to fight. Some were fighting, including yourself, Marwan. You was in London with me, and I knew how you were a diehard of the SPLM. Now, those who say SPLM has been hijacked are those who doesn't want us, those who have not taken arms, to be part of the SPLM. So if they don't want us to be part of the SPLM, who they want us to be part of?
When people say it has been hijacked, it's not because of people like you, Ateny. People will know about your credentials. There might be a few people in the SPLM of the past who might not like newcomers like yourself. But when people are talking about hijack, even friends of the SPLM who are non-South Sudanese are not happy that people like Abdel Baghaei, that people like the members of the past NCP are beneficiaries and kingmakers and decision makers in the SPLM. This is what is hurting a lot of South Sudanese. Abdel Baghaei went to the United Nations and read the Quran as if South Sudan is a I don't want to talk about individuals so much, and I apologize to him, but what we are talking about, we are talking about what South Sudan stands for. We are not anti-Muslim, but South Sudan is not a Muslim state. So when he went and opened his speech, he recited from the Quran, and that is an abuse of responsibility, because South Sudan is a victim of jihad war. Yeah, and we cannot have all our victims, our heroes, people like Wek Ateny, people like Pagana Moon, people like Thomas Cirillo, people like Mulunga people who struggled for 20 years, who lost friends, who buried friends. Yes, there are a disagreement with the government. We understand that. There's disagreement amongst comrades. We know that. But the reconciliation must be a priority. And we cannot have people who were with the NCP to be now the kingmakers in South Sudan at any way. That's what when people say our government and our South Sudan has been hijacked, this is what they are talking about. Can you please allay the fears and the unhappiness of our people, especially the SPL members? Can you allay the disappointment?
First of all, Marwan, let me disagree a bit with the question itself. You know, the problem with those who think that the SPLM is hijacked is the fact that they think if they went to the SPLM in 1983 and they trained in Congo, and some trained in Bilfam, and some other trained in Dima, this before the collapse of Mengistu regime, they think they should own the SPLM. Even if they want to destroy it, they want people to leave them to do it, because it is their child, and they also want to kill it. This is not it. SPLM started as a liberation struggle. And liberation struggle took into it people from different walks of life. The students, the staff of the former Sudan and former regime into Sudan, and the army like Dr. John, Salva Kiir, Kwanyin Bol, Arok Tonarok, and even Martin Malawier, and these were the people that the liberation struggle took into it.
But they also liberated
after fighting, and the liberation completed, and South Sudan became independent. No, when the South Sudan became independent, South Sudan is for everyone. It's for every citizen of South Sudan, regardless
No,
of
not the
whether he was in the
SPLM.
SPLM
South Sudan is
yesterday
for
or
everyone.
before
But the
yesterday.
SPLM is not for everyone.
South Sudan is for everyone, and even the SPLM is for everyone.
No, we cannot bring the enemies of the SPLM inside the SPLM. They can form their own parties, but they cannot be leaders of the SPLM. Ateny Wek.
Yes, what I was trying to say is that the SPLM, as a political party, still have the name Liberation Struggle, Sudan People Liberation Movement. If it is still a liberation movement, it is for everyone. Unless you opt out of it, you cannot, be elbowed out of it. And by the way, there are those who have not been with the SPLM until 2013 or 2015 and 2010, okay? But they have done tremendously for this country. Take the example of Tutgalwak Maneme. He was an NCP. But what Tut did for this country is showing Tut as one of the top nationalists. He does his best to ensure South Sudan comes to where it is. The peace agreement in 2018, and Dr. Martin Leandamoro admitted this, without Tutgalwak Maneme, there would have been no revitalized peace agreement that was signed under President Bashir. So let us give what belongs to Caesar, and what belongs to God to God. The other guys who were Mu'tamar Watani, and they are now prominent leaders, like Dr. Dien Matok Dean, okay? They are doing tremendously for this country. And they are doing tremendously for the SPLM. These are cadres. These people are cadres. And they can take what they know, okay, from whatever Watani, they will take it to the SPLM. Those of Tut Galwak Maneme, Honorable Tut, the advisor, and Dr. Dien Matok, who is now the Minister of Investment, okay, among others, okay, they have done a tremendous job. Something that enhances the agreement to be signed in Khartoum on the 12th of September 2018. So an ordinary person would just see Tut Galwak being given number of dossiers to handle, number of files. We'll just say Tut was not with us during the liberation struggle. And they will be justified because they don't know what exactly Tut is doing. But should they come to know, they will commend Tut for having done a great job for this country. Tut is a nationalist, Dien Matok is a nationalist, and they have done well. Anybody who go back to their roots by saying they were NCPs, yes, they were NCPs, but they are now SPLM. Let us just see them on the merits of each case. What are they doing for the SPLM? Is it something good or something bad? This is the only thing that we can actually continue to see. Another thing is, people seem to have misunderstood Hussein Abdel Akon, the vice president and chairperson for the service cluster, who was nominated by the president to represent him during the United Nations General Assembly in New York. Hussein was authorized by the president. I was still in the office of the president, and I knew exactly the president did it for a reason. One, Hussein Abdel is the last vice president the president has delegated since 2013, since 2014. Dr. Riek Machar went and represented South Sudan. Taban Dengai in 2016 represented South Sudan twice. Madame Rebecca Nyandeng, okay, represented. Dr. James Waniga represented president during the General Assembly. Hussein, okay, is the last vice president that the president delegated to go to New York. When he went to New York, Ustaz Mawan, I've seen he has delivered his speech. What he said, he did not cite the Quran in the General Assembly. He said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim ubi nasta'in. Yani, he is a Muslim. Hussein Abdel Akon is a Muslim. It is like saying in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. And then you continue. You will not be seen to be a preacher. If you said in the name of the Holy Trinity, or say in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, okay? Sometimes myself I say in the name of a Senor, okay? And so on and so on. He still did not cite any one verse of Quran. He delivered his speech in English language. And only Bismillah Rahman Rahim is what he said. He did not cite any Quran. South Sudan is a country that has Muslims, has Christians, and has even non-Muslim and non-Christian, the African religions. And it is recognized in the constitution that the country is a secular country. So I think this is a targeting. They are targeting Hussein Abdelbagi for no reason. Hussein Abdelbagi has not yet made decision to be part of the SPLM. He is still a member and one of the leaders of the Sawa. Until he decides to come to the SPLM, we will talk about it. But now he's still the Sawa leader and the vice president of the government. So he did not cite Quran whatsoever. And the SPLM being hijacked is not true. Is in the mouth of those who are so jealous. Those who are not even delivering, they are not able even to do anything. Yes, some of them were good commanders before the war. But this is a different story. We are going to another, phase. It is not everything that is to be actually equated with fighting. You would have been a good commander. But the time came for you, even now, there are even those who have never been to Binfam, and they are good soldiers, and they can fight. So we don't take that fighting to cloud our ability to think for the future of the country.
No, I think we cannot. What you said is valid, obviously, but every movement, every party in the world celebrates and honors the people who have contributed. I think you cannot speak and look everybody in the eye and say that such towering members of the SPLM that we witnessed through the service and the sacrifice that they have made should not be mentioned, or we should not worry about them.
No.
I think it is. Let me finish. I think it is very important for the future of the SPLM, future of South Sudan, for us to find a way to rehabilitate and to have some kind of reconciliation amongst our SPLM leaders, including Riek Machar. I think people like Pagana Mum, I think people like Wek Ateny, I think people like Thomas Sirilo, I think people like Paul Malung cannot just be written off as good commanders. That cannot be true. I think there is a need for us. I know we were not there when they disagreed. We were not present internally when our leaders disagreed. So we cannot judge, but we can lament the disagreement because it's good for our conscience, it's good for our liberation, it's important for our history that people are reconciled and find a way to come together again, and that the movement, what it used to be and what it can be in the future, has to be redefined in terms of the revolution for which they sacrificed, and you, Ateny, and myself supported for many years. I think this is a point that we need to address.
Ustaz Marwan, I agree with you. Some of these leaders decided to write themselves off alone. What is wrong with being taken away from a position of government? You will still hold on until you get another assignment. If you don't get another assignment, you will be using this huge experience that you actually got during the liberation struggle, and you will still be living. Okay? Yes, it is crucial that our leaders should reconcile. It's my prayer that all of them should reconcile and come back. Whether Thomas Rillo, whether Paul Malongawan, whether Pagana Mom, or Wek Ateny, they should come back. By the way, it is they who have decided to misunderstood the point President Kiir is raising. And President Kiir is a leader. He was in a liberation struggle, one of the founders. Nobody can actually talk about, the fact that he did not lead the movement because he was one of the founders. When they came now to set up a real party, a real political party, they disagreed. Okay, and they didn't agree. They didn't disagree on the subject matter of what they wanted to achieve. They disagreed on positions, and when they disagree on positions, it went sour. Okay, but it is crucial they come back to. I am not talking of they are coming back to SPLM. If they choose to come back to the SPLM, they are already members of the SPLM. But if they don't choose to come back, it is free now in South Sudan to go and form your own party. If you needed to concentrate on SPLM and put something on it, there BC or SPLM F9 or 6 or SPLM 14, it is up to you. Because nobody denied them that they were not part of the history of the SPLM. But if they have disagreed with the leader, they disagreed with the way things were done, in which they were part, they should now come back for the sake of people of South Sudan and form their own political parties. I have seen Pagana Mom is saying that is the leader of a real SPLM, something that is even so sarcastic. How can he be, chairperson of the real SPLM when President Salva Kiir is there? President Salva Kiir with Dr. John, okay? Even Madame Nyandeng was together with Dr. John at the time. She was not a commander, but she was the wife of the political of the SPLM liberator, Dr. John, and they were there when the SPLM was formed. And then Pagana Mom joined. Pagana Mom joined those of Salva Kiir. It is not the other way around. So if there is anybody to be a member, to be the leader of the real SPLM, it should be Salva Kiir. He's not any other person.
We know. We know that.
How can
These are political.
How can you be the leader of a real SPLM when you have you didn't find it? You didn't find it.
No, but that is a side issue because that's propaganda, like how you name your party. What is important here, Ateny, is the way the members of the SPLM are feeling, the way the South Sudanese are feeling, and the way many African people feel, is that time has come for our leaders to put our countries first. So when we ask about the SPLM leaders uniting, coming together again, putting aside their disagreements, putting aside their bitterness, it is not that their bitterness is not important. It's not that their feeling of betrayal is not important. It's not that their ambitions are not important. But it is because South Sudan is more important than them all. Are these leaders, and this is what we're going to ask them all, are these, and this is what the South Sudanese are asking, are these leaders ready to put South Sudan before themselves, including our President Salva Kiir? So if President Salva Kiir puts South Sudan first, every night he goes to sleep, then he ought to be prepared to forgive and forget and bring these leaders back.
President Salva Kiir is ready. What I know 2 months ago, he's ready to, and even he has called for those holdout groups to come back to South Sudan and participate in the process of governing the country to a peaceful, democratic election that will determine the leadership of the country. This is the position of President Salva Kiir. If he has changed it, then when you ask a BO later on, will tell you if the president has changed his position. But I knew he will not change his position. His position is still for this SPLM, splinter group to come to negotiating table and expedite the peace process so that they become part of the 24 months, which has been, marked as a roadmap for the end of transition and the end of transition and the beginning of a new transition. President Salva Kiir wants them to take part in that. Should they come in, they respond to the president call and come in, that would be the best. That would be good for all of us.
Thank you very much for that attention. Obviously, it's not only you who I'm singling out about this. These are questions that we're going to be asking so many people when we reach them, including our young and new Secretary General, interim Secretary
Lamport.
Lamport. We would like to reach him, and we will address the same questions to him.
When
Thank
I'm
you
in
so
Juba,
much, Ateny. But yes, please do. I'm very keen to talk to him.
Yeah, I will do that. I will do that.
We also want people in government. We want to talk to everyone, really. We want to talk to Martin Leah. We want to talk to Makunulweth and all these people, because it's about time
I will
that
try to
our
connect
people
them.
listen. Yeah, that our people listen, and that our leaders talk to their people without anything to hide, openly. Thank you so much, Ateny. Can I ask you a personal question now? I mean, we know your legacy, and we know whom you were, even before your name was embroiled in these things like the government and the spokesman for the president. You were a journalist, and a very good one. When are we going to have your new daily to read? How soon?
No, I will not. I will not be having it anytime soon, because, you know, I was the spokesperson for the State House for 9 years. And, you know, human beings can be tempted. If I start writing about, let's say a column, if I start to edit a column again, I would be biased, simply because I know the truth about the government. If I write that, I will be torn between feeding the public with the information, and I would also be betraying the government, simply because the information that I have for the 9 years were the information given to me simply because I was part of the system, and I'm still part of the system. If I go to edit a newspaper, okay, my commentary will be guided by this information that I know about the government. So I'm not going back to writing. Anytime I can write from time to time to just say my opinion, that cannot compromise any government information I have. Like before yesterday on my page, I wrote about 15,000 that was given to the MPs, which I actually said it was justified, simply because our MPs, the 650 of them, are actually among the suffering MPs in the whole region. So if they get a payment of some kind from time to time, then it is good. Some people were criticizing me that why I did actually sided with the MPs. They think that I'm just saying it because I want to go back to the West. This is not the thing. I'm still at West, and I have my position. Okay, I have my position in the society that requires me to have a view of some kind, and that is why you are interviewing me today. You are asking me about my views. You are not asking me about the views of the government. If you were asking me about the views of the office of the president, I would have referred you to Lydia Dio. She's the one now authorized to speak about the day-to-day activities of His Excellency the President and the day-to-day activities of the office of the President. I would have referred you to her. But if you are asking me about my views as somebody who has a place in the society, that are the view now I have actually shared with you today.
Obviously, before we leave Ateny Wek, and briefly, if possible, please, is that we have spoken to many people, and South Sudanese, of course, are speculating about what might happen, especially in terms of whether there will be democratic elections towards the end of this term, of this interim period, which is important, which marks the return of democracy to South Sudan. There are some people who say, okay, will Kiir stand? Will Kiir step down? Will the party, will Riek Machar and Kiir unite again as SPLM? There are many questions. And there are also people who said, no, there's still going to be trouble in South Sudan, that Riek Machar and Kiir might take the country back to war. And some people say there might even be an internal coup. So these are just, we tend to dismiss these as speculations, but what's your response to this?
My response is this. First, there's no likelihood of President Kiir and Yang Machar getting back to war. What is likely is the election that they will go for. And what I am not certain to actually say here is whether each of them will accept and concede the defeat in the election. Because if the election is for two people, one that is defeated must concede the defeat. This is the democratic process. I'm not sure of that. But what I know, President Salva Kiir said, if he is not elected, he will accept. I don't know for Yang Machar if he is not elected. That's one. Fighting is not a good option for South Sudanese, and I'm not seeing anyone ready for that. They are all exhausted. Nobody wants to go back to war because war is the devil of all kinds. Last but not least, the issue of any coup to happen in South Sudan is a utopian. It's imaginary because it doesn't have base completely in the South Sudanese society. First of all, our army have not graduated from being tribal and sectional. Even if they become national army, they will still be tribal and sectional. So the issue of coup is out of any process to happen in South Sudan. The only thing that will happen is the change, the change through the democratic election. No coup whatsoever. Whoever talk about coup is somebody who doesn't know South Sudan. If they know South Sudan, okay, even now as I sit outside the government for a while, okay, I would go against anything that would want President Kiir to step down now. Because if President Salva Kiir step down now, as I am visiting my family in Nairobi, I will not go back to Juba. Because I knew what is going to happen. If President Salva Kiir is not there, I knew what is going to happen. So it is our prayers, all of us, that Salva Kiir continue until 2025 and people go for election. If they don't want election, that is the end of the story. That's what I know.
Thank you very much, Ateny Wek. It's always a pleasure to have you on RBC. Thanks for your generous questions and the time that you've given us. And hopefully we'll see you again soon. Enjoy the time with your family, your break in Nairobi, and you travel home safely, and we'll talk again.